Okay, recording has started. Okay, so I just want to welcome everybody on here to the second episode of Awakened Conversations. We have Tríona Beanz with us.
Hello.
Hi, Tríona. And the reason I wanted to get Tríona on today was Tríona gave a presentation in Doolin, County Clare about 3 weeks ago on blockchain and basically a presentation on building decentralized communities, and linked into that was decentralized blockchains, crypto, that kind of stuff. There was a huge amount of interest in what Tríona had to say, and I just wanted to follow up today because there was literally we could have stayed taking questions for another half an hour with the number of people. The one thing I'd felt at the time was, like myself, not a lot of people know a lot about crypto and they're a bit scared of it. So what I'd say there is we might take it back, strip it back a level to assuming that anyone watching this has never in their life purchased a crypto. They've heard something about Bitcoin, and they've probably heard recently about a digital currency,
Right.
in terms of a central bank digital currency. So we might maybe start in that direction. So why don't you give us a background about your own journey and where you've got to in this whole space?
Sure. So like I kind of talked about in my presentation, it all started with that Christmas present that I got from my brother. So that was the first Bitcoin I ever got. And when we got it, he got me to install this app on my phone. And it was basically a Christmas card with a number in it. And also like this QR code on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
So he was like, all you have to do is scan this QR code with this app and you'll see how much money you have. So I was able to do that, and I could see it was something like €20. And I was like, okay, that's strange. I have €20 worth of this piece of code. It didn't mean anything to me at the time.
Okay.
And then I think over the months I was looking at it, or he was like messaging the family about how the price was going up and stuff, and we were looking at it going, okay, that's interesting. So how the hell does this thing work? And our whole family had like this. There used to be an app, right? You know how Telegram, we all message off Telegram, most of us.
Yeah.
It's actually an open source application, so you can build applications on top of Telegram. And one of the apps that used to be on Telegram, I think it's been taken down, but it was called Get Gems, and it had a Bitcoin wallet and a Gems wallet.
Okay.
It was a cryptocurrency wallet that could hold two cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin and this thing called Gems, which is just a shitcoin, as we call them. But we would basically, because it was on Telegram, we didn't need to like recruit people onto this messenger app. It was also a messenger app, you see, because it was on Telegram. So all our contacts were there. All our family was already on this Telegram app, and we could text each other money. So we started this little
When you say money now, Tríona, this coin, text each other this coin. Okay. Oh, it's Bitcoin. Okay.
It was Bitcoin. Yeah, we had a wallet of Bitcoin each on this Get Gems app,
right? Okay.
Which is based on Telegram, and you literally just texted each other an amount of money. It was great. So that's what got me into it first. It was like, holy shit, I can text somebody money. That was like, I wasn't even seeing the big picture at all back then. But yeah, we started this little experiment with it. It was based on the concept of universal basic income, where there's like 6 of us in our family, and we'd depending on how we did that month, you could just throw money in that would get dispersed among the family, right? And you could donate as much as you wanted. And it was just to sort of demonstrate how this thing would work, right? So we only did it for about 5 or 6 months. And I think that's around the time we probably started realizing that it was slowing down, because someone would send money in and we wouldn't receive it for like at least 12 hours or something. And it was like, okay. So I thought this was meant to be fast.
Yeah.
So
What year was that?
I think it was about 2014.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Are you in the Bahamas there? Is that why you have the telescope?
I wish.
So
Yeah, 20 worth of Bitcoin back then wouldn't get you very far now.
but do you ever think of that? Like in terms of
all the fucking time. But you know what? Like it took me a long time to learn as well. And my brother was much smarter. My brother actually lives in the Isle of Man, and he's just bought a house outright with cash over there. So I mean, yeah, if you know the stuff, you can do really well. But it took me a long time to learn, and it doesn't have to take a long time to learn. It's just I only got into tech literally 4 years ago. So before the job that I'm in now, like the only tech I was involved in was blockchain, and it
okay.
was, yeah. But
are you a is that the arena of tech that you're in, blockchain technology development, that kind of stuff, or is it totally different?
Not at all. No,
okay.
Not at all. I'm literally just a hobbyist. Mainly just through social media, like because of that Steam network that I said I joined. It was all based on social media, and that's what got me hooked, was you could make money off of a social media platform based on blockchain. But yeah, so this when we were doing this thing of sending money to each other through this app. Anyway, I'm trying to remember where I was going with that.
Well, you were saying that you'd noticed that the blockchain would slow down. It was taking hours for the transfers to take place.
Yeah. So that got me bored with the whole concept, and as I said in my story before, I've released that in video as well for anyone who wants to listen to it. But but yeah, so that meant that I wasn't that interested in it anymore until I came across Steam. So I took a year or two break, got involved in Steam, and then Steam was just like this game, and a lot of blockchains are designed very like a game. You kind of have to work out the rules and figure out how people make money, and like the vast majority of them, it's a game of hold a certain amount of tokens, stake them, and make more of the same token. And I don't really believe much in that concept, the proof of stake concept, where you make more money by holding money.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what the majority of Ethereum based tokens is like. But yeah, so being on this social media platform meant I was part of a very big community around the world, where I could fund things without taking money out of my pocket. And at the same time, I had a currency that I could spend on things. I spend it like on the ground, as you would. I couldn't go into a coffee shop and buy something, but
within the community,
exactly. There was a girl in the Philippines who was making jumpers, and I used to help design them with her, and she would, just online, and she would send them over to me, or she would, we actually worked together to sell quite a few of them around the world. But it was that kind of thing where you could, pay somebody to make something for you, or
let me hold it there. In terms of just the breakdown there, when you'd be doing stuff like that, how were you transacting how were you transacting the coin into, I assume, to cash that somebody would say that was making the jumpers might want to take a certain amount out to actually buy stuff on the ground? Is that an easy process, or how does that work?
First time, you could say it wasn't exactly easy, but it's a learning process. Once you've done it once, though, yeah, it's easy. I don't know how easy it is in the Philippines. I'm guessing it's as easy as it is here.
But are you going through?
I never heard about any struggles. When I first did it, I got paid for my introduce yourself post, and I was like, okay, my second post is going to be about how I actually got this money out, because I still wasn't really confident that this thing was real. I was like looking at $500 worth of Steam going, okay, but I can't hold it in my hand. So so my brother walked me through it. He set me up with a Kraken account. Kraken is it's an exchange where you exchange cryptocurrency for fiat currencies. I had to get, I think, there's multiple levels of verification on these exchanges, and I think I had to get up to level 2 to take out that much money. But basically, from once I was set up with that plus a cryptocurrency exchange account, which was Bittrex.
Yes,
so I had one that didn't deal with fiat currencies but had Steam on it, so I could sell the Steam, and the other with fiat but didn't have Steam.
So basically you were selling your Steam into whatever USDT or whatever it might be, and transfer that to Bittrex or something like that.
I transfer the Steam from my Steam wallet to Bittrex. Bittrex has a Steam wallet, obviously. I trade that for Bitcoin. Then from the Bittrex account, I send the Bitcoin to my Kraken wallet,
and then you can.
From Kraken, I trade it for euro, and with euro, I just withdraw it to my bank.
Exactly.
So there's several steps, and like obviously the first time you're doing it, it's a bit like, oh God, like step, you know. But once you've done it once, it's like okay, got the money in my hand. Holy shit, it works. It is worth like proving it to yourself as well.
Absolutely, but that's what I found as well, because we were there was me and another guy looking at it, and we were looking at doing arbitrage basically, which was finding Bitcoin one place at one price and finding it on another exchange at a different price, and there was a differential, and trying to do that. But it was a fool. It was a fool's errand, because the transaction, we knew nothing about transaction fees of moving between exchanges and all this stuff. So give up that. But it was like, but to do that, I suppose we ended up setting up about accounts on about 4 or 5 different exchanges, and it was just like you were saying. And it's probably even worse now. Not worse, but there's a lot of proof of identity stuff now, like facial recognition, passport. Like it's like opening a bank account essentially. Like that's the level of
it is really your bank. And you want everything to be true information as well, because if it's not, they could literally just say, okay, well, we're keeping your money. Sorry. The guy who owns this doesn't exist.
Exactly. So I suppose so this Steam experience, it ended at some point. How did it end? Why did it end?
So in the story that I told, I kind of skipped over that bit. So when I was telling that story, there's a part of the story where the blockchain sort of gets hijacked when that big account is sold to a Chinese company. That process actually took a few months, and I was out of there before that happened. As soon as I heard wind of it, I was like, okay, this is over. It's heartbreaking for me. It was actually like I was in love with this thing, madly in love with it. I spent, several months watching the price crash and just being determined that we as a community were going to save this thing. And then when I heard that account was being sold, it was a nail in the coffin. It was like, okay, you need to get the fuck off this and just like get your health back up.
How big was how big a community was the Steam community? Have any idea? Was it thousands? Was it hundreds?
Hundreds, hundreds of thousands. I mean, not hundreds of thousands of very active people. More like tens of thousands of active people. But and those are all over the world, like especially I would say in the third world countries. They would probably be the largest communities: Indonesia, Venezuela, the Philippines. China. China is huge. Chinese and the Korean community is huge. So I think that's just because when you're dealing with currencies that are more valuable than others, like Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are just more valuable to them because their currency is worth less.
And and it's and their currencies are fluctuating, and you know, we don't, I suppose, being in the euro or the USD, we don't understand sometimes how worthless some of these countries can get, our currencies can get very quickly. Like, it's similar to crypto. Like, you see huge swings in crypto, but so that didn't, so basically that's like a, in modern day terms, that's called that kind of a rug pull, or, you know, but like a long drawn out one.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a few months, I think, before the thing with the witnesses actually happened, but we knew it was going to happen. We knew it, once you sell that account, you're giving a company the power to take over. So once they did that, I think it took another 9 months or so, 9 to 10 months, for the community to come together and release the new blockchain. So there was a year interval.
What kept you together, or how?
We weren't. I mean, like I said, I just abandoned it. I think what happened was, you know, a huge portion of people, including me, just said, okay, that's it. That's the end of our decentralized loving, you know, platform. And we thought that was the end. We didn't know that I mean, maybe we should have had more faith, but we didn't know that these people were going to be successful in launching the new chain. So they, I mean, I didn't know that they were planning it even. I didn't know if they were going to give up, because they don't make any money, really. They get their investments back if they're successful in getting the exchanges to recognize our new currency, which is Hive. And that's a difficult thing to do. That's one of the things I really wanted to get across in the talk as well, is that community is so important to making a cryptocurrency valid. If there's no community behind it, then there's nobody to buy and sell it, and the exchanges, the centralized exchanges, won't accept it. And so getting it on an exchange is a big challenge, especially when you've lost a lot of your community.
Well, absolutely, because one of the problems facing the exchanges is that there's so many scams, like where you've got 10 or 12, you know, this thing of having, you know, the developers are anonymous, and it's all hush hush stuff, and it's
and there's about 1,000 wallets that belong to them.
Exactly, and all of a sudden it's gone boosh. So so I suppose that's, you know, the tone of the people that were asking the questions to you, I thought, was they were they'd kind of heard of the bad stories on it, and I just wanted to get, and obviously you want to get across, you know, if you're getting into the crypto space, as to what to look out for, you know, don't dive into. So
they're legitimate fears. Like, it is, blockchain is full of scams and things, but it's about, if you want to, you know, take the advantages from it, you have to learn what are the good variants, what are the good versions, what makes it work, and when can you see that there's something wrong. Like, how do you look out for something that says, okay, well, this is not actually what we were setting out to find. You know, you have to know what to look for, I guess.
And what do you look for?
I look for, that's a good question. I avoid proof of stake, because I think it's basically Ponzi. It's Ponzi scheme.
Okay, so maybe flesh out proof of stake as to what that, and to be clear, I suppose Bitcoin is proof of work, isn't it?
Bitcoin is proof of work.
And so maybe just flesh out those.
Yeah, the very first blockchain, the algorithm that they use, which is to determine how all of the nodes, right? Because every network is connected by nodes. How they come to consensus. It's a consensus algorithm. So how they come to an agreement on you know, what's true on the ledger. So proof of work is basically, it's a use of electricity. So originally people could do it on a laptop. You didn't need that much electricity to compete and to for your laptop would try to work out these laptop or computer to work it out would get the Bitcoin.
So the reward basically for figuring it out.
Yeah. And then over time, obviously, it's happened where more powerful machines are more likely to win that. And so lots and lots of people have even pooled their resources together. And that's why you have what they call mining pools, who basically, have most of the control of the network. There's no competition with ordinary folk anymore.
But I suppose that and the whole idea of that is basically it kind of makes it makes the whole network of Bitcoin transactions secure and almost basically unhackable. Is that the idea?
Can you say that again? It makes it makes it trustless. So there's nobody, you don't have to trust anybody's
motivations.
Yeah, you don't have to. Yeah, you basically, you can see the code, you can see how the whole network has come to this agreement. The only way that they could fake something, like a bank can fake a transaction. A bank can print as much money as it wants and not even tell you. But there's no there's no way that a blockchain can do that without a 51% control attack. And the thing about that is, if that were to happen, you can still see that. It's pretty obvious when someone has that control. So yeah, it also, it doesn't happen because if you were to gain that 51% control, the entire thing just collapses. It's like you'd pay a significant amount of money to gain control of something that would instantly lose its value.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's not worth trying.
Yeah. And in terms then of, and these are algorithms that are, different blockchains use different types of algorithms. So Bitcoin and there's a number of other proof of work cryptos, but Ethereum is different to that.
Yeah, so Ethereum is proof of stake, and it's a smart contract platform. So it is designed for anybody to create their own token built on a smart contract, which determines how the tokens are given out. The vast majority of them play by the same rules, which is you give us Ethereum, we give you this token, and if we launch our blockchain, we trade it for the token on that blockchain. And a lot of those, well, that's actually not the vast majority. That's one portion of them, and then the vast majority of them is the proof of stake tokens that stay on Ethereum, where you basically earn more of that token by staking the tokens you have. And so people think they're making money, but actually it's just inflation.
Okay. So there's no so they're basically, there's no finite number of tokens, or like the token numbers can be increased.
Yeah, I don't think there's a finite number for Ethereum. With Bitcoin, at least, the miners, eventually there'll be no mining. So there'll be a limited number of Bitcoin, and most of the hard forks from Bitcoin, I think, are the same. Yeah.
So
I'm getting into that lingo that I probably shouldn't.
No.
Hard forks, etc.
Yeah. So, but I suppose then, and like that's what I suppose. And to your mind, then, like I think an awful lot of people that are in the cryptocurrency space at the moment are basically turning themselves into day traders. They start trading it, and they start messing around with, like I did this myself, with leverage, all this kind of malarkey, and end up losing anything, all their money in it. So
you can do well trading in a bull market. But I mean, it's about how much you're doing. You'll probably lose everything before you start winning anything.
And
you might not even win anything after that if you've lost everything. It's most people treat it as an investment, or they're just trading, and it's it's difficult, I think, for people to really rationalize why they even see it as an investment, right? I mean, you hear people saying, "Oh, I bought this token because it's going to be used by, this platform, or it's going to, connect the grid networks or something, or it's designed for who knows what, just something that they think is great." And then you ask them, well, is that something that you're going to use it for? And they're like, no, I'm just speculating that other people are going to want it.
Yeah, that's exactly true, because that's how I trade. Is because I was thinking of, we were like trading TEL, and TEL is this concept that is going to basically replace Western Union in terms of making it very easy to, send money to countries that have difficult, especially African, South American countries, where an awful lot of money is sent through wire.
Right.
Whether it's Western Union being the biggest one. And there's basically an app kind of thing for this. Now maybe it will come true, but it's like that. They're not transacting very much volume through these apps. People aren't actually sending TEL to their families as much as they're accumulating TEL, expecting other people to, like, that's how I did. I said, so I suppose there's a lot of that behavior. They're kind of betting on the future.
Yeah. There's so much of that. That, unfortunately.
So I suppose to whirl it back around, because the reason I'm interested in this now is a lot of what we're doing, like Doolin, the people that gathered there, 150 or whatever it was over the weekend, is decentralized communities. I think that's what you're talking about in your experience. Was you kind of were part of a decentralized, are part of a decentralized kind of crypto community.
Yes.
And I part of my head is kind of at the moment, well, how would, say we created, we created a decentralized community of, people that wanted to kind of trade with each other, do businesses and services with each other, and to kind of use a crypto or use something else that other than fiat currency to do that. And how they would do it, or where do you see that space going? Like where would you see, are there any communities out there at the moment that you'd say, well, that's exactly what X, Y, or Z are trying to achieve for people?
I mean, that's what Eden, I talked about Eden. That's what Eden is trying to achieve. Yes. It's also what most of the existing cryptocurrency communities are trying to achieve just for themselves, or are achieving for themselves. I mean, I think if you have the community and you have the blockchain, like, you've sort of done it, right? The only problem, I think, with the existing communities is that the vast majority of them are just online. So we haven't really brought it into the real world yet. And it's hard to say what the reason for that is, other than maybe, the people who have been quickest to pick it up are people who are willing to sit at their laptops all day.
It's a lot to learn.
At the same time, it's not too challenging to learn it. Like, anybody can learn it. Although it took me a while, I didn't sit in college learning this. I was just posting to social media and reading other people's articles, and it was just using it. Just from using it, I learned about it. And I understood, like, the whole. Yeah, sorry, go on. You were going to say something.
No, I was just going to ask you. Brought up the Eden community, just for people that are watching that weren't, we'll say, in Doolin. Tell us a little bit about the Eden community. And we've had kind of Telegram messages, me wrecking your head about, could we try this? Would this work? Would that work? Tell us a little bit about the Eden community and that blockchain.
Yeah. So before I tell you about Eden, the guy who started Eden, his name's Daniel Larimer. He's built three blockchains. The first one was a decentralized exchange based on the BitShares token. The second one was the Steam platform, which was the social network based on blockchain. That's where I joined. And then the third one was the EOS network, which is a smart contracts platform. Same idea as Ethereum, but it's theoretically better.
Okay.
So Daniel Larimer, I've followed him for a long time, ever since I got involved in that social media platform. I've read, I've been really like obsessed with his blogs anytime he comes out with something, because this is really where I learned the concept of decentralization. And as soon as I learned it, it was like a light going off. It was like I need to know about that. But
because it sounds like your family were a decentralized family. That experiment you did with Telegram, that's like, I don't know any other family in Ireland that would try that.
We're definitely not what's a centralized family?
Oh, yeah. No, but the fact, like, you wouldn't get us. I'm trying to think if you could get all 5 of us even texting each other in a group. Never mind sending each other money.
Yeah. Well, we were all young enough. I mean, I think we were still in the same household, I think, when that happened.
Right. Okay.
Because I hadn't gone to college yet. Am I right? It's 8 years ago. No, I had. I was home from college. We weren't still in the same house, but we weren't very far from each other, if you know what I mean. We were it was Christmas, we all got together first, and we do have like a family chat. I don't know if you have that, but I guess we're close, you could say.
Yeah. I know, you could see you were all in Doolin together. Like, you were probably the only, I'm trying to think, you're probably the only family that big that were in Doolin together. Like, I know there was partners and all kids and all that kind of stuff. But I'd say you're definitely probably the only ones. Your father and mother and yourselves were there. Like, I'd say you were the only ones that were that size of a group. There was plenty of husbands and wives and friends and that kind of stuff. But I suppose I distracted you there. You were talking about Eden.
I was talking about So Daniel Larimer, I had been following him, and he released so obviously he was the guy that he left Steam a year before I did. He went on to build EOS. I invested there, and then I hadn't been involved in it for a long time until I heard somebody actually from who I used to know from Steve or Hive invited me to join Eden. He's a Canadian guy who used to help me host my podcast. He had a platform based, but he helped me live stream it, and he invited me to join just this thing and read a book that Daniel Larimer wrote. So that's called More Equal Animals. And More Equal Animals explains this. It basically explains all the steps to making yourself decentralized as a person, making yourself available to decentralization, right? So making yourself independent, in other words.
And what kind of basic steps would they have there?
So I could pull out the book to
No, but
I'm trying to remember what the first thing.
I've been thinking about this because I personally, and I've been thinking about the financial thing as well, like, particularly because I think fiat currency is gonna just disintegrate in the next 12 months, and I like, one of the things I'd like to get away from is having to have to cut off the relationship I have with banks, in terms of how to do that. Now, the biggest problem I have, and everybody has, is not really loans and stuff. Our biggest problem is all our employers insist on paying us into a bank. So there's not much anybody can do about that. So one of the things I was looking at is basically, and I was doing it this week, was to look at, to set up a current account in a in a credit union. Now, I know it's not perfect, but at least a credit union is owned by the members,
Yeah,
theoretically.
Yeah.
But I suppose, is there kind of, what kind of stuff would you look at in your personal kind of day-to-day life where you say, well, I want to kind of stop doing this to kind of be more sovereign, if you like, for a better term? Is that book relevant?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not the easiest book to read. I mean, he doesn't get technical in it, but he is a computer scientist writing a book. So even though he doesn't get technical, he has a way of getting things across that isn't. His mind works in a certain way, so it's not the easiest book to read. But he has loads and loads of ideas on making yourself independent, and a lot of it is around currency and community, and how a community could work without being dependent on any central authority, right? So how a community can just work together without so like that process that I did at the very start. We demonstrated an election process for finding leaders that would help the community reach their goals without taking any authority. That process came from that book. And the first time I did that process was with the Eden community. So Daniel Armour launched this community and wanted to demonstrate how it could work. And so I did that with him, and I got into a group of people with most of whom I didn't know, but I did know one of them. So from back when I was in Hive. So he got my vote, and he basically that was voting for people to get a certain amount of funding from the EOS blockchain. So the block producers, which are sort of like miners, but they don't do mining.
Just basically to clear up mining there. Mining is the process of where you're creating new currency.
Right. In mining, you're solving a mathematical problem. In other blockchains, like EOS is it's delegated proof of stake. Yeah. I was trying to remember there. Yeah. It's delegated proof of stake, which is very different from proof of stake. So just lost my train of thought.
So Dan, you were talking. So basically, your vote. I cut you off mid-sentence there because I just wanted to get across. A lot of people might know what terms even
mining,
like mining and stuff like that. But basically, the reason people
a delegated proof of stake, it's like block producers are basically voted in. So whatever amount of tokens you have, that's the value of your vote. Similar to how I explained Hive worked. So you have a certain amount of voting power based on how much of your tokens you lock in. And with that voting power, you choose who you want to be a block producer, someone who can actually create blocks. And so you kind of choose them based on how they say they're going to spend the money, right? And in the same way, those block producers are donating, some of them are donating the money to the Eden community, who uses those funds to sort of spread this information on how to create decentralized communities.
So it is basically the money is used to get more people in, correct me if I'm wrong. The money is used, the goal of sending the money or the crypto to the Eden community is they want to multiply bring more people into the Eden community.
Yes, but not their Eden community. They'd rather you set up your own. So they do want their numbers, but they have a limit to the number of people that can actually join their community. And once they reach that limit, they will start dividing the community up, most likely based on language first, because that's the biggest problem we have in Eden at the moment. Is it's very multilingual.
But that's pretty good though.
It can be, yeah. For the first community, I think it's a good thing, yes. But
and
they're learning how to do things.
Yeah, okay. So you were talking to me like in terms of the mining stuff, like, and as to why people mine. There's a reward like in outside of the Eden, but like in Bitcoin, people might ask would anyone mine? The person that solves the problem wins a piece of the new Bitcoin that's been created. So that's the reason.
They get the whole Bitcoin, but with the mining pools, because it's a pool of people, it gets divided among that pool. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So I'll just interject here. So basically, how has your experience been with the Eden community specifically then, or how long have you been involved with that?
The first selection process was back in November last year.
And what do you say selection process? What's that?
The election process. The one
election process. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think I joined like a month or two before that. Probably September, October.
Okay.
But yeah, it's yeah, I mean, it's mostly a lot of the same people that I've been involved with. So what I use it mostly for is when I'm trying to find information on. I'll do my research through them because I know they're really, really savvy on security and you know, what things to use and stuff. So
and how do you group stay together? Is it a social media? How does the community communicate, if you like?
They have various different ways. So Violet Gardens is one of them. It's a social media platform based on EOS. I think it's similar to Hive. I haven't actually got very involved in it myself yet. But that is one of the ways. And then they have, where was it that I put up my post? I think it might have just been GitHub. They have a lot of stuff on GitHub. Yeah, but so mostly we just stay connected online. You don't have to be involved all the time to remain a part of the community. You could not talk to somebody for 6 months or whatever, and you're still a part of that community if you have a plan to be in the next election or whatever.
Okay. So, and how often are these elections?
Every 6 months.
All right. So, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's another one now in April.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is the community happy, sad, non-committable at the moment?
At the moment, I'd say it's mixed because there's a new thing that came out, and maybe this is just my projection. Maybe I can't speak for the rest of them, but for me, like fractally is a new concept that they've come up with, which is very, very similar to Eden, if not the same. But now there's a question of where the funding is going. Is the funding going to Fractally, or is the funding going to the Eden community, or does it depend on what the Eden community decides? We're not entirely sure. I suppose that'll be for the block producers to decide. But yeah, there's ongoing questions, I think, of what's going on, because they came up with a new idea Fractally, which I don't fully believe in. I mean, I think a lot of it is good, but there's a way of they're distributing something called respect tokens, and from reading it, I'm not sure if these respect tokens are transferable, or basically the community decides if you have them or not. And I think based on the number you have, you might get something in the future.
Okay.
It's very So I don't know. I don't know if it's ever going to go anywhere. But yeah.
But these are the types of ideas. So when you elect your leaders, these are the types of ideas that they're coming out with, and in their 6 months, I suppose, is what you'd say there, is it?
Yeah. They'll decide where the funding goes, and if it goes more towards this Fractally idea, then all we can do is elect somebody that we trust to do something better with the money.
Yeah. And the token you're talking about is EOS, isn't it? EOS. So how's that token been performing in, we'll say, the last 6 months, or How does that, is that, is there people coming into it, moving out of it, or how's it kind of day-to-day trading?
I think it's a pretty steady community on EOS. But in terms of trading, I don't really keep track.
All right,
I never
okay.
keep track of price anymore.
Mhm.
I think it's it's the usual ups and downs.
But is it,
I don't think it ever had like it's high, if you know what I mean. I don't think it's ever been recognized for what it's worth. I do think it's undervalued, obviously. I keep talking about it.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, compared to a lot of currencies and how the fees involved and the length of time it might take, EOS like stands out among them all. And it has such an active community behind it that you can actually prove that with real numbers, not just a test of a bunch of people. Sorry, not just a test of fake transactions all at the same time. Like, it's actually a real large number of people using it.
And that's the other thing about about crypto as well, for the people that mightn't know this, is that all the transactions, you can go look at every single transaction. Now, you can't see a name or an address or anything. Well, you can see a crypto address, but everything's
with EOS,
trackable.
you actually do get a name, which is kind of nice.
Oh, right,
Steam was the same. So like you can actually get an account with Jerry O'Neill as your address, which would be nice.
I'm trying to get rid of my name off all records, so no.
Oh, right. You've got it here.
I'm only joking. So we were going back and forth in Telegram, and you were saying, and I was saying, when you brought up about Eden and then kind of EOS and that kind of stuff, and you said you could set up an Eden Ireland community. How would that work?
So I'd say for it to work, everyone in the community would probably need to understand Eden a little bit. And so I'd probably start with people joining the existing Eden community. To see, how they feel about the processes. If people are critical of some of the processes, we can probably change things. That's the thing about Eden, is it doesn't have to be the same from one Eden community to another. If there are things that you think don't work, you do them differently. And there are some distinct rules that you have to stick with, such as the limit to the number in your community. And that's just because when, kind of like the way you see countries and unions work, right? The bigger it gets, the harder it is to maintain or find a consensus, right? It's harder to not control, but to connect with all the people and know people well enough that you actually feel part of a community.
But the process of joining an Eden community, does that mean purchasing a certain amount of tokens?
No. You would have to stake a very small amount of tokens. So I had to stake, I think it was 5 EOS or something, which is worth
5 what? 5
EOS.
Oh, EOS.
Yeah,
what's
which is worth something like $15 to $25. I can't remember, but
all right, okay,
right
so
now, something like that.
And
when staking it is not giving it away. It just means as soon as I want to leave, I get that money back.
And and that's earning, when you stake it, you're getting some reward for staking it, are you?
No, it's basically just a commitment to say I'm in this community now. Yeah.
Oh,
but it
right.
stays in your wallet. It stays in your wallet, and as soon as you unstake it, you've left. Okay.
So the other question then I was going to ask, so that basically puts a solid foundation that, there's 10,000 people that have $25 or whatever staked, that this thing can't just fall apart overnight. It'd be like the deposits in a bank, really,
Well, there is an extra value in staking tokens on EOS in that they provide like sort of like RAM, like
memory.
Yeah. So when you stake tokens, you're giving a certain amount of power to do things that apps would need to do, if you know what I mean. So that can be helpful to the community if they're building things on the platform. But yeah, besides that, it's just holding a certain amount in a, it's
So that's
not a
your
shared wallet or anything, but
it's your commitment to the community, basically.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a nominal, like $25 or whatever it might be now. That's just a nominal amount. So, and that gives you voting, and I suppose depending on how much you stake, then that gives you voting rights, gives you more.
No, within the Eden community, you're only allowed to stake the same amount.
Right. Okay.
Everyone stakes the same amount, and everyone, it's one person, one vote, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's okay. So
yeah.
And
I think that I think part of the purpose of Eden is also to solve that problem that blockchain has, which is that there's very little proof of, I don't want to say identity, proof of humanity, let's say, that you are one person, and like you're not 100 different people with 100 different wallets. You're 100 people. Sorry, you're one person with 100 wallets.
And now I know one of the things you were saying there, because somebody sent me on a information about a UBI, a Universal Basic Income token. I sent it on to you, and you were saying, or we were talking around this whole idea of proof of identity, that it's a tricky thing to solve in a decentralized way.
Yeah.
Is there, so when you join the Eden community, how do they do their proof of humanity, that you are a human?
There was an induction. So there's an induction where basically, so you have to be invited first of all. So somebody in the community has to know you to invite you, and once you've been invited, they have to get 3 other people who will basically like see you in the community. So you get on like a video call, you record this video call, and it's like reading from a script. You just say, okay, I agree to the what is it called again? The Constitution or whatever. And once it's recorded, they put that on the blockchain, recorded that you've been inducted, and then there's a price then for anybody who tries to join twice, right? Because if you join twice, you get 2 votes. So there is rewards, or there's a certain amount of funding that goes towards paying people to, if they find somebody basically who's tried to cheat the system. So if there's somebody who's come in twice as the same person, and you find that person, and there's an investigation, and it turns out to be true, you win a reward for that. It looks like it was the very same in that proof of humanity UBI thing that you showed me as well, that they had a reward for finding people. Yeah.
And is that a problem? Is that a real problem? Like, is that like, I would imagine if what you're saying, for somebody to game the system you're talking about, would it involve not just the person who's trying to do it twice, but 3 or 4 different people that are saying, oh, we were on a video call and this person's human. Even the person that recommended them to the community must
they can get into I don't think they kick them from the community or anything. I think what they do right now is they will make sure that it's known that this person brought in somebody. So I guess people will keep an eye on them then.
Okay, so the whole point of going to all this trouble, as opposed to sticking your passport up to a camera, is that you don't stick your passport up to a camera. Is that there's a certain level of
no, there's no passport.
Yes, there's no ID identification.
I joined with the name Beanz machine.
All right. Okay, so you don't even have to use your own name.
No.
All right. No. So that's the beauty of and
it's
I suppose
Yeah,
and I suppose that's if we look at the bigger picture at the moment in terms of you know, there's a lot of centralized forces who kind of want to destroy Bitcoin and all this stuff. But really what they want to, I think, destroy is the possibility that decentralized, if one of them worked, then it would really work. Like it could really destroy a kind of fiat currency.
Yeah. What they really want to do is stop communities from realizing its potential and from actually, you know, building their communities to use it.
Yeah, that's a much better way of saying it. So for your money, Eden is the best. The Eden community and the EOS token are basically the best that you've come across to date in your time at. You know, it's the one that's you see the most potential in, I assume.
Yeah, but mainly for that type of community.
And that
it doesn't necessarily have to be the token for an on the ground community.
Okay.
What the best token for that is, I'm not sure. There's so many that you could use. Yeah. I'd say the only thing you would want to avoid is probably I'm not even sure I suppose the incentives and the proof of stake ones would make me say you should probably avoid those, because people are less likely to spend them. They think they're making money by staking them.
Yeah, to be honest with you, like at the moment, if you were even like the way I'm looking at this at the moment is just in the short term, in the first next year, I'm looking at it as a store of value. Like if
a lot of people
I'm more afraid of, you know, waking up in 12 months' time and a loaf of bread is €8 and this kind of thing. And so that if you happen to have 5 or 10 grand in the bank, that it's going to be immediate. You know, it's even already we've seen it's destroyed the last 6 months. So like I suppose that's the way I've been kind of looking at it. I'm very interested in exploring a method. I suppose there's a lot of people interested in it, and I wanted to kind of have a chat with someone like you that's kind of in it, more than and thought about it a lot more than, you know. I kind of went at it as a kind of half-arsed trader. Like, you know, I was like, yeah, you know, you go through all the cycles of staying up half the night looking at charts, and it's like, what are you at? But I suppose where we should get to is somebody sent me a message there, and it was basic, and I sent it on to you, and can't exactly remember, but it was basically she had no clue. She had no clue about crypto, and she was very interested in it, because I saw that she sent a message then afterwards because somebody put up the name of a book. Where would you send somebody that knows nothing about crypto but is interested in getting into? How would you advise them to approach it?
There is a site called dbm.academy.
dbm.academy. Okay.
dbm.academy. Yeah, I just started checking it out myself. But there's a course there available. There's several courses.
Okay.
Like I think one of them is literally called Getting Started or something.
Okay.
So it takes you through the very, very basics. And I would recommend, like, it's thankfully not based around trading, but they may have some stuff on trading there as well. So I'd recommend like avoiding any trading courses and just learn first about the technology. So that if you are going to invest in anything, you want to invest in it because you really believe it's something you can personally use, not because you're speculating that somebody in the future is going to use it. I mean, if that's why you want to invest in it, fair play. It's, you know, it's totally up to you. It's, people do make money that way. People also make money that way. Yeah, it's totally speculative.
Yeah, and if you want to do that, fair enough. But like so like in you know, 101 school is if I wanted to buy crypto, and say I wanted to buy €100 of Bitcoin tomorrow morning, and I had the clue about to do it, how would you recommend? Where would you recommend I go to do that? How would I approach that?
So first, you want to get yourself an account on an exchange, and it has to be an exchange that will accept fiat currency. So one that we have based in Europe is Kraken, Kraken.com. I've used it for 8 years now and never had a problem with it. Yeah, I'd recommend them. There's quite a few others. Trying to remember the ones that I was recommended during the week, but
just to say there, like setting up that exchange, it's all online, but basically it's the same details required as setting up a bank account.
As a bank, yeah, you will have to give your identity. The exchanges that deal in fiat currency, they are probably giving that information to governments if they're requested. So yeah, in terms of
you need to be aware of that. You need
you need to be aware of that. The taxation, like that all depends on
well, I'd say but like with the taxation thing is, like, the majority of people have lost, like I'd say 95% of people have lost money. The average person loses money going into it. But the other thing is, the other thing is, governments are just catching up on all this stuff. There's no expert that I can see anyway, because I even see the Irish Central Bank came out there warning about, like, some mad warning about Bitcoin, and I'm going, where's your mad warning?
Yeah, wait till we get our digital currency out.
Because and that's you see, that's
they're working on their own one, so it's ironic.
Well, so that's exactly what I wanted to talk to you about next, is that there's a big difference between everything we've spoken about to now and a digital euro or a digital USD, because that will be totally controlled by your central banks.
Yeah. So one thing I want to say as well is just because you hear the word blockchain doesn't mean it's decentralized, and doesn't mean it's going to empower people. So
good point.
Yeah, so the digital euro that the ECB is working on, who knows what it'll be, but one thing we can know for sure is they're going to own it. It's most likely going to be a private blockchain, if it's a blockchain at all. And
it's going to be programmable more than like
because it's owned by a private company, they can program it as they please, which means they can change the rules as they do with fiat currencies already.
Because I've heard the Chancellor of the UK Exchequer said it out loud. He says we'll be coming out with a digital programmable currency, and basically what that means is they can, they can decide what it can be used to be purchased for, and they can screw around with that, but they can also screw around with you, because they're going to have full knowledge of traceability of every coin and where it is located, and
and they keep that information private.
So that's where I'd have an issue with it, because if at the moment, as bad as things are, if I write an article, and as I do, given out most of the time, and they say, you know what, this guy's just making a bit too much noise now, we'll just stop him from flying. He can't use his digital currency to purchase airline tickets or whatever it might be. That's where I'd be worried that that level of kind of individual control is what you don't want. So that's completely different.
What they have in China, the social credit system, like that, they could easily build a social credit system on this digital currency.
And I'd say that's exactly what they're like. Whatever. I have no doubt if they go down this road, it's not good for people's sovereignty. I don't know what you feel about it.
Yeah, I absolutely. I feel if we don't have a backup before then not that it will be too late, but we're really going to struggle, and we're going to be more dependent on people that can give out the currency, because we won't be able to exchange it for the digital currency that they control.
That's it, because I'd say the first thing they'll stop you doing is interacting with
public blockchains.
Yeah, exactly. So what's your own feeling on, do I get the sense, are you a fan, not a fan, or neutral on Bitcoin?
I'd say I'm sort of neutral. I'm not a fan of what you would call Bitcoin maximalists, right? Is that what they call them? Yeah.
Oh, Bitcoin, yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, like the
people who believe Bitcoin is the one and all, and there's no point in trying other Bitcoin. I see Bitcoin as a prototype. Like it had its problems, and it still has. It's still not perfect. And we probably never will have one that's perfect either. But you'll have one that works for certain things, right? And I think that's the way people need to look at it for the future as well. Is that it's, if you imagine, right, we don't use money, but instead we exchange minerals, right? Gold, silver, lead, like whatever. I kind of see it as being a digital form of that. Depending on what it is you're trying to do, that's what you're going to exchange, right? Depending on what the person you're trading with, and by trading I mean purchasing something off. Depending on what they want, that's what you're going to spend. So there's probably going to be, people are probably going to use a lot of different cryptocurrencies based on what they know their various different communities use. So like you could have a cryptocurrency, I believe, within an education network. You could have a certain cryptocurrency within
well, that's kind of what Cardano's trying to do. Like, I don't know what you think of that one, but I think the unfortunate thing about crypto is that it got titled as currencies, because really a lot of them are like financial or technology products, as opposed to, or technology products. Like I remember when I was looking into this a year ago, and I was looking at ADA or Cardano, and Charles Hoskinson or whatever his name is, and his thing, they were after launch, and the concept was good, because anyone that's been in college, and nowadays if you're trying to go for a job, applying for a job, and now a lot of places are looking for transcripts or results and stuff like this, and you're going like, oh Jesus, I have to go back to a university that I haven't been in 25 years and ask this kind of stuff. Whereas what they'd done in Ethiopia was they'd launched and they'd said, right here, this year's graduates, here's your blockchain number, here's your address, that's your results and your certificate. That's the original format, and it's there, and it can't be copied, and it can't. That's it.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, that's actually not a bad idea. Like that serves a purpose.
A good use of it. Yeah.
But as to whether you need it,
heard of that.
Yeah. So whether you need, now that's only one element of what they're doing, but I've seen, because obviously any country that has shitty fiat currency has a massive appetite for crypto, because anything kind of like that. So, but that's one where when I heard it, I was going, wow, well, that does solve a problem. And so like stuff like that. But again, what you hear is Cardano or ADA, the cryptocurrency, is like, you're talking, all you're hearing is about the price of it. It's going up. It's going to be, it's going to do 100x, and this kind of stuff. Like, and it's way too much of that type of money and type of people that are in the space, and it's they're just speculation, basically.
Yeah. I think one of the problems why it all hasn't taken off as well is because you have so many people and companies getting tied up on, what can I use blockchain for? Why should I use blockchain? And the answer is you shouldn't use blockchain. It's not that, you shouldn't want to use blockchain. You're going to end up using blockchain because your customers want you to use blockchain.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good way of putting it.
That's way down the road. It's when people realize its potential that they start, using it in the public sphere before the private sphere really catches up.
100%, yeah, because the public sphere will just, like, you can see it with the you can see it now. Because do you think there's a digital currency launch imminent?
Yes, I know that it's imminent. They said they were working on it, I think, early in lockdown, so almost 2 years ago. Yeah.
And did you see the whole digital COVID cert pass as a kind of infrastructure to facilitate that?
I can speculate that it was.
Yeah, well,
who knows?
Is that? But would that be your speculation that it will be used, whether they meant it or they didn't? Do you think that's? It sounds to me like the infrastructure for quickly and.
I mean, if you look at the COVID sets, it's like data on who the most submissive people are, right? So depending on how many boosters or how many shots you got. So if you wanted to start with the people that are the most compliant to government regulations, you could totally you could check the data on who got the most shots and target those people. So I guess you could easily speculate that that's what that was for. But it's a total speculation. Who knows? Who knows if the sets, like, they may never come back in the format that they were, But
yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But I suppose, where do you see the next 3 or 4 months or 6 months? What's kind of what are the things you're looking at?
So I was after Social Creatives, I was invited to Phoenix Park. There was a few people that were at that festival who were there, and
I saw that.
Yeah, you've probably been to sovereignty.ie before, have you? They have,
I know.
A community.
Yeah, I've seen it, but I haven't. I saw that event and I thought, that sounds like a good event. Like,
it's lovely. It's lovely. I wasn't sure what to expect going to it, but yeah, it's a real community feel. Like, it's music, dancing, and just networking, getting to know people. And Maria invited me and asked me. Basically, she wants to know the logistics, similar to what you're asking me here, on how we'd actually just get involved in it, how we'd actually start this. So I'm hoping. I mean, I don't think it's going to be down to me. I don't think I'm going to have a direct answer. It's going to be down to the community saying, okay, we're willing to make the effort. Because I think one of the interesting questions you showed me. That message that you sent me was asking, how can, what's the practicality of actually using these things? And the difficult and short answer to that is that it's currently not practical. It's going to be difficult because you're only going to be dealing with a small community of people in the beginning, which means it's not practical. But it's if you want to learn and if you want to be ready, it's necessary. And it's the same for everyone. When you're the first to do something and you need it's like a chicken before the egg problem. Like, you need a community in order for it to be practical. You need as many people accepting the currency as possible for it to be practical. So that's just got to grow. I don't think that's going to happen in the next. Well, I think it'll grow a little bit in the next 6 months, and my hope is that we can start building at least a cooperative, people who agree, okay, we know this, we know we will at least accept these currencies, and we know what services and things that we're providing among this community, so we can spend this among each other.
Wouldn't it be a good way to connect all the different groups between there's one of the problems we have is there's too many groups. There's 10 or 12 or 15 or 20 different protest groups, and and I can see it now because, I see it myself from the way stuff I'm writing on is people. It kind of went like this. There was when I set up the Mandate Ireland group, it was all about the vaccine passports and mandatory vaccinations. That fight, we were all together on that fight. The ones of the 300,000 or 400,000 of us that were left, and we stuck together. And then they were all dropped in on a sudden, and then people kind of were looking around. Not what is this the end, or what's going to come next? And now I can see it's moving to stuff like little pockets going off about the WHO and their proposed treaty with national governments to take over that follow their guidelines in a pandemic. And then there's the Ukraine stuff, and you can see people getting distracted into that stuff. And there's little there's little splinters there, and people are getting really activated on that. It's all relevant stuff to get activated. But one of the things is like a crypto, whether a crypto might be a good way to connect a lot of groups if all the groups just said, look, do you know what? We're all going to maybe, this is not even necessarily trade, but we're all going to get involved in whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum, EOS, or whatever the Eden communities are. We're all going to create an Eden community and use this, whatever. It might be a good way it might be a good way of kind of threading the different.
Yeah. I definitely see that happen. And you know what? It's really interesting and probably happen, or maybe not so much interesting, but frustrating as well. I'd love to see us all connect through cryptocurrency, but what will probably happen is because there's so much rivalry. It is rivalry. It's egos competing for what they think is leadership positions. And
have you? Go on. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt.
But what I see happening is there'll be the same competition we see in the blockchain space, a competition between which is the best crypto, which is fine in my eyes. You can have that contest. It's true. Probably, like each community will have theirs, and they'll be really bullish on it. They'll be like, "No, you shouldn't be exchanging this one or that one." But secretly, everyone will have the other one that the other communities will accept because they know they have to.
No, it's a. How easy would it be to launch a coin?
A blockchain?
Not a blockchain.
Oh, just a token.
Just a token.
Well, you should have some technical knowledge to do that. Yeah.
But what I mean is
developer knowledge.
Because the question I was going to say, and I asked it to you badly in Doolin was, a crypto has to operate in a blockchain, but it doesn't have to have its own blockchain. It just has to be in a blockchain.
Yeah. So as a smart contract, that's a cryptocurrency on a blockchain that is, I mean, I would say like, what would be an example? CryptoKitties on the Ethereum blockchain. The Ethereum blockchain is the blockchain of the CryptoKitties currency. But Ethereum's main currency is obviously the Ethereum cryptocurrency.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the value in the Ethereum the reason that Ethereum is $3,000 or whatever it is that the network gets used, so it is an active network because there's so much built on it.
Yeah. It's a very active network. It's a very bullish community. People who believe in Ethereum, there's
a lot of that, but there's a lot of.
It's I'd say a lot of it is speculation as well.
100%.
The fact that you can build things on Ethereum, and I think you need a certain amount of Ethereum to build something on Ethereum. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I all I know, I don't even know it to that level other than it's you see I don't know how many crypto coins are launched every day of the week, and they're all on different blockchains, and it's like 90% scams, 95% scams every day of the week, and like meme coins, Dogecoin or Dogecoin, whatever you want to call it, you can see that huge numbers of people get involved in this lunacy, like on stuff that has no proof, has no use case. Like it's just like, oh yeah, here's a funny meme, let's build a coin on it.
Dogecoin was great.
But sure, look, it was like I remember when that was going on, and that was like that was like a 17 or $18 billion company. Like at one point, like it was just bonkers. Like that there was so much money. It was hoovering up so much fiat currency basically into it. But how did I get? Why did I start talking about that now? I was just getting back to the linked in terms of how do you think? Are you involved personally with kind of aside from crypto in terms of kind of decentralized communities? We'll say like whether that might be a protest group or all the shite that's gone on with vaccines, vaccination, all that stuff. Are you generally speaking involved with a few different kind of
So
decentralized communities?
outside of cryptocurrency, I mean, how do you describe a decentralized community? I'd say we are a decentralized community. Those of us who came together based around the lockdowns, the mandates, everything we've been fighting against. We've kind of become a decentralized community. I mean, there's no central authority, and that's also why we're so disorganized. Because decentralization, it is really hard to organize things. That's why I think we need these processes for finding good leaders. Because right now the process is it's the law of the jungle. It's whoever shouts the loudest. It's whoever has the ego to say you shouldn't be following him, you should be following me, without anything to back it up with.
I totally agree with you, because that suits leaders of a certain type, in terms of if you're not afraid of conflict, or you're not I'm not even afraid, if you're comfortable in daily contact. Like I'm amazed.
And they're not good leadership skills. They're good. They're almost authoritarian skills.
I never thought of it that way, but you're right. But like for me, I'm amazed at the number of, because I hate talking about any of this, because I'm really somebody that was half asleep all my life, and I'm kind of maybe just a quarter asleep now. But like when I see people that were every day of the lockdowns walking in and out without masks, daily having to deal with standing up for that, and I was thinking, I just like the amount of energy that would take off me personally to do that. It would be, I just wouldn't be able to do it. But even the other stuff,
it gets easier. That's what I found. The first few times is a struggle, but then you actually start to enjoy it.
Do you though?
Oh yeah. When you really come into yourself and you feel like, okay, I have the power here. I just say no, and they feel it as well. When you're really confident and you're enjoying it, they feel it and they back down much faster. They don't want to. They don't even want to interact with you. It's just okay. Yeah, no, she's the boss.
Was the people that would be stopping you, were they was it mostly male or female, or was it a mix?
Mostly women, but it was a mix, but mostly women. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah.
And was that kind of stuff an issue for you at work, or were you working from home, or how did that?
I worked from home, so I actually got a work from home job before COVID happened. So then I got jealous. Everybody got the same luxury as me.
It's well, I've been lucky. I've been fortunate as well that I've been able to work from, but it was because of COVID. It wasn't pre-COVID, or that kind of thing. No, that's interesting. And were you the type? Are you the type of person that's like a rally going person, or a protest person going person, or?
I never went to a protest before all this. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Same as me. So. Same as me.
And it wasn't even when I went to the protest. It wasn't because I wanted to protest. I wanted to be among people. I wanted to be among people who, wanted to be among people. I didn't want to. I was getting sick of going outside and feeling like everyone you walk past wants to walk around you, and keep their distance. It was horrible feeling.
Yeah. I never thought about it that way, but it's actually a good way of putting it. And locally, like to your point, and building online communities, a lot of it's online. Is most of your interaction, since we'll say we've gotten, there's been some, most of the restrictions dropped. Have you brought that You seem to have a tight group, your family and the people that were with you around you there. Have you brought any of that online stuff offline in terms of going? I know you've came to Doolin and that kind of stuff, but do you have like a group of kind of awake, like-minded people that you kind of interact with, daily, weekly, monthly around where you live?
So I live in Nixlip. The closest group to me is in God, I'm forgetting the name of the village. It's right next to me. Selbridge.
Okay.
I don't see them that often though, but yeah, there's a good community there. It's not about crypto or anything. It's about but it's definitely a decentralized group of people. They just came to know that we all live in the same area. We've been going to the same protests, so they, we're always going together, and they meet weekly in Selbridge. So there's definitely lots of little communities I've been part of. And I mean, it's usually just a group of friends. We've all made friends through this thing. We're not necessarily, actually, we did coordinate with some people who are not in Selbridge. We collaborated with other groups, I guess you could say, to the signs that people were holding along the roads. On
the motorway.
I joined them for that, and I also did some of the bring it to their door stuff. So I mean, those are small, very, very small.
That's the same. I was at and no, I think it's good because not even to socialize in, because I was at the stand. I hadn't been at a stand in the park really until last Sunday. It was just wonderful people, and so chilled out. I couldn't get over it. It was in this place, Cool Park. It's in Gort, but it's on this big. It's a former Lady Gregory estate. It was quite famous locally, and just group of people. Lady brought tea, coffee, flapjacks, and a guy started playing the guitar. It was like, and it was just chilled for an hour, like maybe an hour and 20 minutes or whatever it was. But so I think stuff like that is very important to keep people. It'd be very easy to kind of drift back into the background, and if something happens again and we're trying to coordinate, it's going to be where is everybody?
I feel like we'll all come back together pretty quickly, but we haven't figured out how to be organized. It'll feel like we're back at square one. Okay, so we're all here, but now what do we do? What are we going to do that was different from the last time? Because it feels like we're powerless here.
No, I know this. I know there's groups like Tracy O'Mahony and groups like that are trying. She was trying to get people together in different groups together, and I'm more like, in terms of I'm not sure what they're doing, so I shouldn't talk about it, but I know she did get groups of people together, maybe for kind of to have a political influence and that kind of stuff. But I've just what's meeting all of you people in Doolin got in my mind is that there's an awful lot of positivity that's needs to be let out, because there's so many positive people.
That's what I loved about Social Creatives as well, is that it was one of the first times we were meeting under positive feelings, and not this sense of negativity. We have to fight. We end up fighting each other.
No, and there's a lot of
just
that.
Pure love.
But so that's the kind of stuff I'm interested in supporting where I can now. Just in. And even since that, somebody like random people just ring me out of the blue, and there's a wonderful lady in Cleggan, and she's been doing stuff that I had no awareness of at all. Jean and Crowley or something, but I got an email from her, I think, recently, and she had like 20 people out to her place out there, and I was like, geez, I didn't even know all these people were around, do you know? But like that now, they're not I assume it's kind of gathering a like-minded people and they're expressing themselves or whatever they're doing. But I didn't realize there was so many creatively, like, do you know, like,
yeah, they're not as noisy.
yeah, that's probably it. Yeah,
yeah.
they probably do keep to themselves. Yeah, it's probably true.
It's a positive thing to know, though, that these things are happening without you knowing it as well, though.
Yeah, it's great to know.
Gives you hope that, yeah. There's lots happening everywhere that we don't know about.
Yeah, because I was trying. There's lots of good things, and like, I'm broadly speaking positive. The global picture isn't great, but like the people I'm meeting it's very certain that they made the right decisions. They've been making the right decisions, and they're not going to suddenly stop making them. Like, you know.
Yeah.
So, so look, we could. Jesus, we're an hour and a half on here. I realize that or not. So I didn't realize I was going to turn this into the Joe Rogan podcast. There you go. I think we've covered the main basis there. I wanted people to get a kind of more in-depth flavor of you and your presentation, because I think what the things you're thinking about, I think a lot of people are interested in. So, do you have any? Are you somebody that's out there in social media, or are you?
I'm out there on Hive and on Telegram. So I have you can subscribe to my channel on Telegram. I think it's Beanz SM. Let me double check what it is. I should know, shouldn't I? Yeah, if you should search BEANZ and then SM, space SM. Beanz SM, and then on the Hive network, I have a blog called, well, it's just Beanz.
Yeah.
So it's, if you can go to peaked.com/@Beanz.
Okay, perfect. I'd say the Telegram.
Yeah, the Telegram's a good place to subscribe. Yeah. To get notifications.
And what kind of stuff are you doing on there? Is it just is it mostly crypto stuff, or is it all other kind of stuff?
Oh, it's everything. I started a blog there during the lockdown called "How to Escape a Cult That's Taken Over the World."
Is that still going?
It kind of stagnated a bit during the summer. I got involved with someone and got distracted.
Oh, yeah, I saw the fellow you got distracted with. He's quite a distraction. So
yeah, exactly.
There you go. Do you want to promote that? Because I would have brought that up earlier in terms of if you're planning to get that back up and running.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you subscribe to Beanz SM, whatever the next thing I write about,
okay,
it'll be there.
I'll put that in the details of this podcast when I get it going. So,
I might also give you some. I don't know if you want it in text format, but I had like a list of wallets and things that people could try if they're looking for things that are secure.
Oh yeah. Tell us that there now. Just
so the hardware wallets examples I mentioned Ledger. There's also one called Trezor. I have the Ledger one, but I think the Trezor is just as secure. So the hardware wallet is an actual, you get like a USB key and you keep it on that, it holds your keys. Then you have app wallets. There's different types of app wallets. Some of them let you own your own keys and some of them don't. So if you're using an app, you want to know if you own the keys or not. But some examples where you do are Edge, Exodus, Atomic, Token Pocket. I'm not so sure about Trust. That's the one example you gave me. I don't know. Could you tell me if that's?
Well, look, I wouldn't even recommend it because you can take it. If I've done it, you probably should stay away from it.
Yeah, but those are 4 examples that I got it that are good. And then there's also so they're the soft wallets, as you called them earlier. I just call them app wallets.
Yeah, exactly.
But then there's also different types of exchanges you can use. There's the fiat exchanges we mentioned earlier. There's just the plain old cryptocurrency exchanges. And then there's also decentralized exchanges. So that's something I'd watch out for and like do some research on that.
Yeah.
Because
So-
if we do get stuck where we can't trade with the banks anymore, a decentralized exchange allows us to trade. Nobody owns this exchange, and we don't even need to verify our identity or anything like that. So
absolutely, because if you're in the crypto space for any length of time, you're probably on board through a centralized exchange, but you should definitely after a while be off board and onto a DeFi exchange or getting your crypto off those centralized exchanges, basically, as quickly as you can. But what I do, if you don't mind, then is just to say your Telegram again, because I think there would be a few people that would join that, and if they have questions for you, then they can ask you there.
Cool. Yeah. So it's over here. Beanz, BEANZ, SM for social media. On Telegram. I can also send you the link so you can.
Yeah, send me the link, and I'll put it in the thing as well. But just anyone that's listening here,
and there's like a discussion channel. You just can, so like that's a subscription channel, and then you just click the messenger to go into the discussion channel. So there's two of them.
Perfect. Anything else on your mind, or anything else that we didn't discuss? I think we covered a good bit there now.
I'll just mention, like we talked about privately owned blockchains. There's also privacy-based cryptocurrencies, privacy-based blockchains, which are something that people should be aware of. If you don't want your data basically out there in the public. Monero is a very good long-standing example. And there's lots of other ones. Monero is a very good, it's the first of those kinds. And yeah, it's the most stable of them. Yeah, it's been around the longest.
And basically that's completely anonymized, or the attempt to go down that road where nobody knows.
Nobody can track what went to what wallet.
Yeah, and you can see that like privacy is the other big thing in the world at the moment. That's been completely destroyed. So
because if we do start to do well, if communities actually successfully detach themselves from banks, they're not going to be happy about it. They're going to try to take advantage of the fact that this data is out there in public and see if there's people vulnerable enough to,
100%. Like, absolutely. And the governments and global entities don't want, they want eyeballs on everything, what everybody has, like, and it's one of the problems I have with the bank is that when you open a bank account, you have to provide and this is only in the last 10 years or 12, but you have to provide an RSI number when you're opening a bank, and it's like, why? There's like, it's automatic now that you don't question that. But
what's the RSI number?
It's your PRSI number, like your basic, your tax, your revenue number.
Yes.
Like that wasn't the case. That was not the case when I was in my 20s. That you had to provide that, and it's just basically, it's just basically a method of the revenue going in. Like, it gives more power to the government in the occasions where they want to go in and check on they can check on a person's employment details. But anyway, that's a different conversation, I suppose. But
well, it's relevant. I mean, we're talking about how to empower ourselves instead of them, and how to empower our communities.
Absolutely, because your financial, especially when if you're a PAYE worker, you've already paid your tax. So why the government would require your tax number on your personal bank account details is, they need to prove. It's never the case not anymore. It doesn't seem to me, is that you have to prove you're innocent. They don't have to prove you're guilty. It's like, this kind of.
Yeah, it's completely backwards.
Yeah. So so I don't know. That was on my mind anyway. I didn't even realize my dog was in here. He must be in the background there. Tríona, what I was going to say is maybe I'm feeling like we should have this conversation maybe every 6 or 8 weeks or something along those timelines in terms of if there's developments or stuff like that, because I think this could be an education process. If you had the time, you know, they don't all have to be nearly 2 hours long, but what I mean is they can be. I don't mean that can be, but I don't need to take up your time that much. But I think it would be no harm to start a process, a conversation, so that if you do get if you got an idea and said, look, this some really interesting stuff going on here, maybe people would be interested. Might be an idea to kind of get you back on maybe in 7 or 8 weeks and say, well, these are the things, because I think we're in the, like, what I'd be thinking is we're in the education. If any of this works, and maybe it doesn't, it'll never work, but we probably need to be in the education business about it. And I mean, I need the education as much as anybody, but in terms of people that might watch this and think about it, they might go off and do a few things based on watching this, 5 or 6 of them. I'm not saying there's 50. And they might come back and says, well, I found this, or did you know about that? And this kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to get more questions, I'm sure,
and I just know from your presentation that it got so much. I was surprised that, because I thought, you and your brother and you were by a good bit, not a good bit, but you were probably you're the youngest there by a lot. Most people were my age and up, as opposed. So I was thinking, well, will anyone of our generation, how many of them are interested in crypto? And you had all these old, you know, a lot of pension age people were lapping it up, like. So I'd say so maybe what we'll do is we'll come back to this again, probably.
I love that idea.
And we'll kind of continue the conversation that way, if you're up for that.
Yeah, definitely. Love that idea.
Perfect.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Jesus. No, thanks, Jesus. Thanks for donating 1 hour 41 minutes of your Friday evening. So, what I've done is I'm going to record this. It's fine. Thankfully, the stream never dropped, so this is an improvement, big style. And what I'll do is I'll be getting it out. I'll be putting it out through the West Wake, and I'll be putting it out up on YouTube tomorrow morning. I'll just go back over it again and asking people to subscribe. If you have any other details or think of anything about yourself, just come back to me with it, and I'll put in the details of the YouTube clip.
Cool, will do.
All right. Okay. Thanks a million, Tríona, and we'll chat soon. Thank you. Okay. Bye. Let's see now if I can